Welcome back to Unboxing OD. I'm your host, Kenneth Pearson, co-founder and OD consultant at Pearson & Pearson LLC, and I'm glad that you're going to spend some time with me today. In this episode, we're diving into something I think is absolutely crucial if you're working in organizational development, or even thinking about it. We're talking about the mindset of an OD practitioner. See, being successful in this field isn't just about knowing the right models or frameworks. It's about how you think, how you see the world, and how you approach the complex, sometimes messy, reality of organizations. In this episode, we'll explore how systems thinking can help you see the bigger picture, the art of balancing business outcomes with employee well-being, and how to navigate the ethical dilemmas that come up more often than you might think. We'll also dig into why self-awareness and continuous learning aren't just good habits. They're essential to excelling in this field. So, grab a cup of coffee and let's get ourselves started. We'll start with systems thinking because, honestly, this is the cornerstone of the OD mindset. It's all about seeing the organization as a singular, interconnected system rather than a bunch of separate departments doing their own thing. Think of an organization like an ecosystem. Every part is connected, and a change in one area can create a ripple effect across the entire system. For OD practitioners, the ability to see these connections is what makes the difference between treating symptoms and addressing root causes. Here's an example that highlights the power of systems thinking in OD. A national retail chain was experiencing high turnover among its customer service representatives. On the surface, leadership assumed the issue was simple. Employees wanted higher wages. In response, they increased hourly pay, but the turnover rate barely budged. Frustrated, they turned to OD practitioners to diagnose the root cause. Rather than taking the issue at face value, OD professionals conducted employee surveys, focus groups, and leadership interviews to gain a deeper understanding of what was driving employees to leave. The findings revealed something unexpected. Compensation wasn't the core issue. Instead, employees felt undervalued and disconnected from the company's larger mission. Many of them believed they were in dead-end jobs with no growth opportunities, and they lacked the training or resources needed to handle customer concerns effectively, leading to frustration and burnout. With these insights in hand, the company shifted its strategy. Instead of just adjusting pay, they launched a structured career development plan, providing clear pathways for advancement within the organization. They also revamped their onboarding and training processes to ensure employees felt more prepared and supported in their roles. Additionally, leadership introduced regular town hall meetings and feedback sessions to create an open dialogue between frontline employees and upper management, reinforcing that their contributions mattered. The result? Turnover dropped significantly, not because of a pay increase, but because employees felt heard, valued, and invested in. Engagement levels rose, and customer satisfaction scores improved as well. This is systems thinking in action, recognizing that employee retention isn't just about salary, but about how employees perceive their role in the larger ecosystem of the organization. Instead of applying a quick fix to the symptom, OD practitioners address the deeper structural and cultural factors that were at play. Adopting a systems mindset isn't just about solving problems more effectively. It's also about preventing them in the first place. When you understand how different elements of an organization interact, you're better equipped to anticipate the ripple effects of decisions before they turn into full-blown crises. It's a proactive approach that turns complexity into an advantage rather than a barrier. One of the biggest challenges in OD is walking the fine line between business outcomes and employee well-being. It's not about choosing one over the other, nor is it about acting as the middleman between leadership and employees. It's about understanding that these two priorities are deeply interconnected. When employees feel valued, supported, and engaged, they don't just perform better. They innovate, collaborate, and contribute in ways that drive the business forward. In other words, taking care of people isn't just the right thing to do, it's a smart business strategy. But finding this balance isn't always straightforward. Some organizations lean too far in one direction, pouring resources into employee well-being without clear alignment to business goals. Others focus so heavily on performance metrics and profitability that employees become overworked, disengaged, and ultimately burned out. A skilled OD practitioner helps bridge this gap, ensuring that organizations achieve their objectives without sacrificing the health and morale of their workplace. Take remote work as an example. For leadership, the primary concern is often maintaining productivity and ensuring accountability. For employees, it's about flexibility, work-life balance, and mental well-being. The challenge for OD practitioners is to design systems and policies that satisfy both perspectives. This might mean setting clear expectations around availability and performance while also giving employees autonomy over how they structure their work. It could involve creating intentional touchpoints to maintain team cohesion without overloading calendars with unnecessary meetings. The key is demonstrating to leadership that investing in employee well-being isn't just a nice-to-have. It's a competitive advantage. Engaged employees stay longer, perform better, and create a stronger culture. When organizations get this balance right, it creates a self-reinforcing cycle, a workplace where people want to be, which in turn drives better business outcomes, allowing for even more investment in employee well-being. It's not just about making people happy. It's about building a sustainable, high-performing organization where success isn't achieved at the expense of the people making it happen. Ethics might not be the first thing that comes to mind when you think about OD, but in reality, it's woven into nearly every aspect of the job. OD practitioners are often brought in to help organizations make major changes, like culture shifts, restructures, or leadership transitions, which means we inevitably find ourselves facing difficult ethical questions. How do you balance confidentiality with transparency? What happens when the best business decision clashes with what feels like the right thing to do? And perhaps most challenging of all, how do you maintain trust when change is bound to create uncertainty? Take restructuring, for example. Let's say leadership is planning to consolidate departments, a move that makes financial and operational sense. But instead of gradually introducing the change, gathering input, and allowing people time to adjust, leadership wants to announce it out of nowhere. One email, one meeting, done. From their perspective, they're preventing unnecessary panic. But from an OD standpoint, it's a trust-destroying move that could lead to resentment, disengagement, and a surge in turnover. An OD practitioner in this scenario has to step in and advocate for a better way, one that acknowledges the business needs but also respects the people affected by the change. Maybe that means facilitating open forums, providing space for employees to voice concerns, or working with leaders to craft messaging that's honest but also supportive. Is this approach messier, slower, more uncomfortable? Without a doubt. But it also preserves morale, keeps engagement from plummeting, and ultimately makes the transition smoother. Ethics in OD isn't about having the right answers. It's about being willing to wrestle with the tough questions. It's about knowing when to challenge leadership, when to protect confidentiality, and when to push for transparency, even when it's uncomfortable. There's rarely a black and white solution, but the best OD practitioners are the ones who lean into those gray areas with integrity, always striving to do what's right for both the business and the people who keep it running. If there's one quality that sets great OD practitioners apart, it's self-awareness. You can have an entire toolbox of models, strategies, and techniques, but if you're not tuned in to your own biases, triggers, and blind spots, you'll struggle to navigate the complexities of this work. This point needs to be reiterated. OD isn't just about frameworks. It's about people. And when you're constantly engaging with different personalities, perspectives, and power dynamics, understanding yourself is just as important as understanding the organization in front of you. Self-awareness also means knowing what you don't know and being okay with that. OD is an ever-evolving field shaped by new research, emerging workplace trends, and shifting cultural dynamics. The best OD practitioners are lifelong learners. They're not just collecting certifications or memorizing theories. They're staying curious, absorbing new ideas, and refining their approach through real-world experience. They ask questions, seek out different perspectives, and reflect on their own work to figure out what's effective and what needs to change. And learning doesn't have to be formal. Sure, attending workshops or earning a certification can be valuable, but continuous growth can be as simple as pausing after a project to ask yourself, what worked? What didn't? What could I do differently next time? It might be reading a book on leadership, having a candid conversation with a mentor, or even just listening, really listening to the people around you. At its core, OD is about guiding organizations toward growth and improvement. But that process doesn't just apply to the companies we work with. It applies to us too. The more self-aware we become, the better we are at diagnosing challenges, building trust, and designing solutions that truly make an impact. It's a cycle of growth that feeds itself. The more we learn, the better we become, and the more meaningful our work becomes. So, what does it really mean to think like an OD practitioner? It's about embracing complexity, seeing the bigger picture, and understanding that organizations function as living systems, not isolated parts. It's about balancing business goals with the well-being of the people driving them forward, ensuring that success is sustainable and built on trust, not exhaustion. It's about navigating ethical gray areas with integrity, making tough calls with transparency, and staying open to learning. Because in OD, growth is constant, and self-awareness is everything. Next time, we're shifting gears to a topic that doesn't always get the attention it deserves: followership. Leadership often takes center stage in organizational conversations, but the reality is, great leadership can't exist without strong followership. We'll explore what it means to be an effective follower, why followership is just as important as leadership in shaping organizational culture, and how OD practitioners can help organizations recognize and develop this often overlooked skill. Thanks for joining me for this episode of Unboxing OD. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, share it with a friend, and leave a review. And if you want to keep the conversation going, connect with me on LinkedIn or send me a message at info@pearsonpearson.llc. Again, that's info@pearsonpearson.llc. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and take care of the people who make your organizations a success.